are these people?
The next outlet and people I want to talk about are the people over at Declassified UK, who've also done some phenomenal work. They're actually Indie Media Award honorees. For those who don't know, we actually created a whole website called the Indie Media Awards over at Substack that kind of showcases who we found to be the most consistent and anti-Zionist and anti-imperialist outlets and live streamers and journalists over the last several years. And one of the first outlets we chose, and we, in the first class, was Declassified UK. All their links to be able to support them are there. You can find them right there. And that's all this is just a page dedicated to how you can find them and that they're great. And those are illustrations by Zago Brothers. So shout out to Lucio Zago. So they've been publishing quite a few stories lately, and I thought had impact. One of them was this one from John McEvoy, who's one of the top editors over there now. And he writes that we obtained a list of Israelis who received military training in Britain. Many of them are now directing operations in Gaza amid the genocide, and now Declassified publishes the list for the first time. And again, this is John McEvoy over at Declassified, and the list is over here. At least 32 Israeli officers trained at RCDS, including numerous senior figures. Then you've got 6 Israeli soldiers also trained at the UK Military College in Oxfordshire, and as many as 4 Israeli soldiers are still training in Britain despite the ban. Well, that's apparently now changed, and they're no longer training there. That's one of the things that's happened as a result. So that's one thing that I wanted to point out. So go read this short article over at Declassified UK. All right, Britain trained Israeli soldiers fighting in Gaza. Declassifieduk.org is their website. And all of these links, by the way, will be in the Substack article dedicated to this episode over at indiemediatoday.com after the episode's over. I also wanted to bring this video from John McEvoy because he testified at the Gaza Tribunal. And I mentioned the Gaza Tribunal a couple of times. They've done this a few times. And I am a big proponent of having a tribunal-style Nuremberg trial. And the way that gets started is with something like this, where you lay out the template for what that's going to look like. So John says, last week I testified at the Gaza Tribunal about how Israeli soldiers have been training in Britain throughout the genocide. The Telegraph now reports that Israelis have been barred for training in the UK. So here's his testimony. It's 2.5 minutes long. I wanted to play this, and hopefully Reef can hear this.
I now want to turn to Israeli military officers training in Britain throughout the genocide. After months of stonewalling from both Conservative and Labour governments, we discovered that Israeli army officers have been allowed to train in Britain since October 2023. This information was provided to us earlier this year in response to a Freedom of Information request after several refusals through the Freedom of Information Act. The Ministry of Defence said that fewer than 5 Israeli officers had trained at the prestigious Royal College of Defence Studies in 2023 and 2024. But we subsequently found that at least one of those Israeli soldiers graduated from the RCDS just last month. So even as recently as last month, the UK is training soldiers from an army that is actively committing genocide. And it's not just Israeli soldiers training in Britain. The UK government has welcomed several high-ranking Israeli officers to Britain since October 2023, often providing them with special diplomatic immunity to protect them from private arrest applications under universal jurisdiction legislation. That list includes, but may extend, because all of these visits were intended to occur in secrecy. So there may be many other Israeli military officers that have visited. But the list includes Lieutenant General Herzi Halevi, the IDF's then Chief of the General Staff, who had been directing the Israeli military's operations throughout the Gaza genocide. He visited Britain in November 2024 and the Foreign Office provided him with special diplomatic immunity, protecting him from arrest for war crimes. Then there was Major General Oded Basiuk, head of the Israeli military's operations directorate, who was overseeing Gaza operations as well. He attempted to secretly visit Britain in January 2025, but Declassified managed to doorstep him outside Russia in London. And most recently, there was Major General Tomer Bar, the commander of the Israeli Air Force, which has been overseeing, the key player in the decimation of Gaza. Bar was subsequently identified in the chain of command of Israeli officers responsible for the killing of 5 Al Jazeera journalists in Gaza last month. He was allowed to visit Britain in July 2025, just 2 months ago.
And apparently now they're starting to say, well, we're not going to allow that anymore. So a little bit of closing the barn door after the horse already got out, sure. But they are closing that barn door. And it is somewhat symbolic, at least, that they're doing that. So shout out and, good on John for doing that and testifying and bringing light to all the times that Britain has willingly brought Israeli war criminals, known war criminals, for training in the UK. It's crazy. And they, like us, are user-funded and don't take corporate money. So if you're able to and have means, just like support the media you want to see, like this show and this network, the ways to do that is using Cash App, $ Indie News Network. We have ko-fi.com/Indie News Network, and that'll pop something up on screen. We've got paypal.me/Indie News Network and our self-hosted website over at indienewsnow.com. And then over at our Substacks, and I publish the 2 of them pretty much daily or weekly. IndieMediaToday.com is where we host this show and all the clips and original articles that I publish and write, appearances that I do on other shows, and then and also things that I want to share that I think are important once in a while. And then INNnewsletter.com is where we're going to be live later for boats smashing into other boats. So we live stream there. We host other podcasts, and we publish a weekly update for all of the members of the network and everything that goes out across all of the INN channels.
Go to my website.
And at that website, there's also merch. So there's a button to pick up an INN t-shirt.
Buy my merch right quick.
Oh, check out that merch. Check it out. Oh, Reese wearing a beanie. Look at that. Oh, he's heating up his dab rig right now. So yes, you can get an INN beanie over at the merch store too. You go to indienewsnow.com, click on the merch store, and you can pick up one for yourself. Love you all. Thank you for hanging out. Support independent media because we need it more than ever. We'll see you soon, fam. No! We just fucking lost the stream!
I guess this isn't such an awful place. Is that what you want?